Before you get started with the program, there's a couple of things I want to highlight regarding how to navigate this website and a couple of things in terms of the golden rule. So let's start with that golden rule. The golden rule is do not pet the cat until you get to that stage, which is called the petting sequence. There's really, really important reasons why we do this, and I'll talk about the theory behind it as you get to each step. But what I have found is the longer you delay the petting, the faster the cat will fly through the whole petting sequence and learn to trust you and enjoy petting. So if you feel that urge, it truly, just hold back, know that it's for the best and you're doing the best thing ever for the cat. If there's like another cat you could pet, go visit, volunteer in an adoption center to get your pets in, or pet your own cat. But just please, it's really important. I cannot stress that enough. In terms of the website and how to navigate it, follow the steps in the order that they're laid out for this whole program and method. Ideally, you follow it as is. But sometimes there's going to be situations where the cat's just not moving along or responding well, or you have a certain situation where you have a bad back and you can't sit in that position. For those situations, we've worked with many people, helped over 100 cats, if not hundreds, and we've had tested certain approaches or certain tweaks for different needs. And so all those are listed out in the variations section, which would be quite like near the end of that phase and step. So check those out as well if you need them. In terms of where to start, you cannot go wrong by starting at the beginning. Start at step 1, because the worst that can happen is you spend an extra week where the cat flies through all the steps and you create a nice foundation for the cat. So you cannot go wrong starting at that stage. But there are times when you could jump ahead and start a cat because the cat's more advanced. You can start them at a later stage. It is possible, but I find people sometimes jump a little too far in advance. You could try to reach out to us. We are all only volunteers. We've got a family, families. We have full-time jobs. We also rescue. So we try our best to respond. But if you need some help, just message us and we'll see what we can do in terms of giving you feedback. But again, if you can't reach us for some reason, it doesn't hurt to start at the very beginning. In fact, a lot of times when people reach out to me, by the time they find me, it's because they are so frustrated having tried applying the traditional approach for a long time to no avail. And so a lot of these people are so frustrated, ready to jump off the cliff. I actually find it's helpful to do that first step, which is the reset stage, and giving, the reset, what that does is it gives the cat a break and you a break before you dive in. So there are times when I tell people to start the reset anyway, again, so it will not hurt you to start there. A couple of other things to keep in mind as you work on this socialization method is please do not mix methods. I've seen people try to mix a little bit of traditional approach that they see online with what this method says, pick something from here, pick something from there, piecing it together. Do not do that. This method has particular steps and each step has theory behind it. There's a reason why we do every little thing that we do. So when you start mixing it up and adding things at the wrong time or adding things that really is not even part of this method, it will sabotage it. I've seen time and again, anyone who's tried that, it will not work. But everybody who just sticks to the method often find that they get quite good success. The other thing is when you feed the cat. And when you do the sessions, it's important to feed the cat twice a day. If it's a kitten, you'll give them a snack in the middle of the day if needed, but only feed the cat wet food. Do not feed the cat any dry. No free feeding of dry. This is important because usually the cat will finish up the wet food per meal, and then you do your sessions just before mealtime. So the cat is nice and hungry, and the treat that you're using for the session is of very high value at the time. Versus if it's kind of 2 hours after mealtime, the cat's like, I'm not that hungry. I'm not really gonna do much for that treat over there, right? I've seen some people talk about how you reduce the amount of food you give a cat when you socialize them, make them hungry so that they have no choice but to interact with you. Don't do that. Look, these cats that we're working with are often coming off of the street. They are malnourished. They need as much nutrients as they can get. And time and again, I've seen success without having to reduce the amount of food they get. Give them a good amount of food, right? So the wet food that they get, whether it's 3 ounces to 5 ounces per meal, 2 meals a day, depending on the size of the cat. If they're kittens, give them nice kitten food so that there's more calories in it, but only wet food. Now, I personally feel that wet food is better. You can go to catinfo.org and look at other resources that talk about the amount of water that's removed from food to make it dry and how the cats can't really drink enough to accommodate for that. So in general, I only give my cats wet food anyway, but when you socialize, it's imperative you give only wet food. If you free feed, the cat will not be hungry enough to really do that much for the treats that you do. And again, feed the cat normal amounts. The other thing is we will later on use the dry kibble as treats when we do approach work, when we do clicker training, things like that. So it's something that's a little bit healthier than trying to use like 50 greenies or 50 temptation treats that will then give them diarrhea. So that's another reason why we save the kibble. A couple of other things. So you hear traditional approaches always talk about, oh, pet the cat when the cat is eating. Well, I don't know how many of you have had an annoying little kid. So I'm a mom and I've had my toddlers like bug me while I'm trying to have a meal. And it's not fun. I have to live with it. It is what it is, but you really don't want to do that to the cat. So when you're socializing the cat, put down the food in the water bowl and then walk away. Let the cat eat in peace, right? So you do your socialization session, then it's meal time, you give the food and you walk away. The cat just had their socialization session. You can either do your socialization session in the morning or in the evening, whatever works better with your schedule. If you need to, it is okay to delay meal time by like an hour or 2 hours if you need to, because you had something you had to do for work or personal, whatever it be. This can work around your schedule. It is not so strict that it means people can't socialize unless they have no life, no job, right? This can work around your life and around your work. So delay mealtime if needed, so you could squeeze in your socialization session before the mealtime. As you go through the site, you'll see that some videos have me or someone else using Churu, which is a squeezable treat, and other videos show using baby food on a finger or baby food on a lick mat. I started off all this many years ago with baby food on the finger, but it got really messy and the cat was able to finish up the baby food really quickly from your finger. So I switched over to Churu because there's a lot of benefits, such as you can control the flow much better. It's really convenient. I used to keep Churu just on my nightstand, and whenever I was going to bed and I had an advanced cat I had to socialize, I could squeeze in a quick socialization session before I go to sleep. The downside with Churu is you cannot give a lot of Churu. So for the most part, make this your rule, maximum 2 Churu a day per cat. Any more than that, they can start to get real bad stomach issues and definitely diarrhea. If you can, just watch the cat carefully, some cats can only have maximum 1 Churu a day, or some cats can't even tolerate any Churu at all. So keep an eye on that cat. The baby food with a lick mat is really helpful because when you combine now the concept of the lick mat with the baby food, you can spread the baby food in a thin film on the lick mat. And if the cat doesn't love the baby food enough, you can even crush up some of the freeze-dried chicken treats all over it as an extra enticement. And you can use that as well. So whenever possible, try to use the lick mat with the baby food, but it is also okay to use Churu if you need to. And some cats don't find that the baby food is enough to compel them to do some of these nudges that we give them, that we do have to use Churu. I also found that some steps work better with a churro than with baby food. And when we get to that step, I'll talk about that a little bit more. A lot of that has to do when we get to the without treats time, right? So petting without treats, staying on the lap without treats. Those is times where I find covering up a churro is easier than covering up a lick mat, but it is possible to do it with both. You will want to make sure that you get the cat used to both. So take churro. If they've never had churro before, they won't even know that it's yummy. So when you have a bowl of food out, one day, squeeze a churro right on top. Don't mix it in. Put it like right on the top of it so that they can smell the food, gravitate towards it, and know that there's food in the bowl, but then they'll taste the churro as they're licking. And then another day, do the same thing with baby food on top. Try not to keep the baby food too long. Scoop out the baby food into a separate, you're gonna put it on the lick mat anyway, so that there's no saliva in it. Keep it in the fridge. Try to use the rest of the baby food by the next day. And don't keep it in the fridge too long, but definitely refrigerate it.